Nobody's seen. Oh, what? So far we've worked out that nobody's actually been there when volcanoes erupted, gone kapow. I've seen it a few times on the television. I'm sure that many of you have seen it on the television, have you not? Yeah, you get a rough idea of the power. It must look, it looks pretty scary stuff just watching it on the television. Now this morning, we've got before us this morning, the God of the Mount Sinai and the God of Mount Zion. In the Old Testament, we hear about how Moses led his people to the foot of Mount Sinai. Imagine the scene, if you can, just a few moments while you think about that scene. The ground on which they were standing being shaken. The sky is inky black and only broken by the crashing of lightning. An eerie sound like a trumpet is heard, and above it all, the voice of God. That was pretty scary stuff. Everything about this picture of Sinai says, keep your distance. Don't come any closer. The God of the Old Testament was seen as the God of wrath and terror. The people were afraid. But now in the New Testament, the God demonstrates completely different. He demonstrated in the person of Jesus, the God of love. But that makes it sound like there's two different gods, doesn't it? It's like one years ago and a different God today. But there are not two different gods. It's just one God. The God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament are the same God, revealing two different aspects of his power and two ways to approach God. Sometimes people are afraid, even today, when they don't need to be. I think some people are like that when it comes to their relationship with God. They think that God is going to judge them for any little mistake. So out of fear, they work themselves up into a frenzy and then give up, and then they fall, they fail. However, no believer needs to live in that way. We see the kind of relationship that God wants to have with us and all who believe in his Son. It's in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 18 to 21. For you have not come to what cannot be touched, a blazing fire and darkness and gloom, a tempest and the sound of the trumpet, and a voice whose words make the bearers hearers, so they beg for no further messages to be spoken to them. Even Moses said, I tremble with fear. This is not the kind of relationship God wants with his people. God does not want them to tremble with fear like they did when he gave them the law at Mount Sinai. At that time, a trumpet blared, fire flashed, and smoke consumed the mountain. The sky was darkened as God thundered forth his law. The people were so scared they begged Moses to talk to God privately. Oh, you leave me out of this, mate. You get on with that one. And then relay to them what God had said. They couldn't even bear the initial order which told them, don't even touch the mountain or you will die. Now we have a God that is approachable. But that doesn't make him cuddly, soft and cuddly. Have any of you ever read C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe? I think quite a few people have read that. If you haven't read it, it's a fantastic book. And they talk about Aslan, the lion. And they asked, is he safe? And the answer is, Aslan is a lion. The lion, the great lion. Ooh, said Susan, I thought he was a man. Is he quite safe? I shall feel rather nervous about meeting a lion. Safe, said Mr. Beaver. Who said anything about being safe? Of course he isn't safe, but he's good. He's the king, I tell you. So what happened to change that relationship with God? That one you come anywhere, you just stay away from me. You need to, and everyone trembling, really afraid, to today. So what happened to change it? The change is Jesus. He came and lived on earth and died for our sins. We often as a society like to make it more complicated at times. And we can make suggestions that can actually put it out of reach of others. But it's simple. Jesus came and he died for our sins. He gave each and every one of us an offer of life. He gave us that command to love each other. Can't get much more simple than that, really. But each of us at times try to make it more complicated. You think there has to be more to it than that. And this passage tells us, those of us who are followers of Jesus, to rejoice as he does glorious things. But in the New Testament, we hear about in the synagogue ruler hadn't expected the healing of the woman. She'd been sick for 18 years. And the ruler's response to the work Jesus had done was absolute indignation. His task was to enlist people to read the scripture and pray and lead in worship in other ways. I suppose it's much like what Jessica does, really, isn't it? Up to a point. Or perhaps the church wardens. And he felt he needed to give permission to anything that was going on in his synagogue. His permission for healing had been sought on this one day, and he was indignant. The ruler of the synagogue said to the people, he actually appealed to the people, there are 6 days on which work ought to be done. Come on. They can come on these days and be cured, but not on the Sabbath. Come on. The woman came to worship. She didn't come to receive. She came to give. So why is he talking to the people? Have the people done something to bring about the healing of the woman? Why is he nagging the people? Why not talk to Jesus? He was the one that did it. The ruler's indignation expressed towards the people is really indignation towards Jesus and for what he has done. In protest, the ruler said to the people, there are 6 days. Come on, there's 6 days we could have done this. And then he chooses to come and do it today, day of the Sabbath. But this healing was not man's work. In 18 years, no man has done this work, the work. This is not the work of man. This is the work of Jesus. It was unexpected by the ruler of the synagogue. And so he was indignant. I'm sure it wasn't on his service sheet. The reaction, the criticism of Jesus' unexpected work may have come from, perhaps it was jealousy in the ruler. Since he was regarded as such a good man by all the members of the synagogue, surely the one others regarded as the most religious would be the one for whom the Lord worked. Why is he doing it for this man? He was mistaken. Jesus did not do a mighty work for him, but for someone else. That unexpected work of Jesus drew a reaction from the ruler. The ruler was apparently not the only one to react. In verse 15, it says that Jesus says, you hypocrites. That was plural. He was talking to everyone. Others were sucked in by his criticism of the unexpected work of Jesus. Jesus does not always work as we expect him to work. When Jesus works in a manner which is not expected, the way on which we react is important. Just how do we react when something like that unexpected happens? We can all make the good news that Jesus created, that bridge between us and God complicated. There's a danger of putting in clauses. The only people I think are suitable should really benefit, or the right setting. Perhaps it should only happen here in church. Many who come to Living Well feel that they are unacceptable at the beginning, and I'm sure the same applies to the people that come to CAP. But there have been so many moments at Living Well where God's work has been shown. Their life has been turned around completely. And there are occasions when others who are not what we consider to be the most righteous people receive the blessing of his mighty work. It's easy to fall into the trap of judging. I'm sure we all judge on the quiet. The reaction you and I make to that is important. God does not just choose those who are theologians or leaders. The guidance of God can come literally to any single person. We also cannot impose laws on God when and where he should meet with us. When God's work through others, we need to be careful that we do not react as hypocrites. We must rejoice. Jesus does not always work in the way we expect him to work. Our reaction to the work of Jesus when we are critical of that can uncover sin in our own lives. Each and every one of us have been given different gifts that we can use. And many of those gifts we can use here on a Sunday morning. We've got welcomers who are good at welcoming and chatting. We've got a tea maker and the coffees. The list is endless. But the one gift we all have is the gift of opportunity to accept God's offer of love and life. And God uses each of those gifts to reflect his love in our world. So back to our reading, we heard how the people rejoiced over the wonderful things that were being done by Jesus. Some considered it wonderful because they knew the woman. They were her friends, or because they knew the woman had been unable to straighten for 18 years. Some recognized the unique power that had been demonstrated. For many reasons, the people rejoiced. In verse 17, it says that all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by Jesus. The deduction that is easy to make from that is other wonderful things, in addition to the healing of the woman, that were done by Jesus. And we're not told about all those things, I'm sure. There are many other things that happened that are not written down. But that doesn't make their importance any less than the straightening of the woman. It is the people of faith who will rejoice at the amazing work of Jesus. A significant reason to come to worship is to give expression to the joy that has been produced within us during the week, as we have seen the glorious things that God has done in our lives, in other people's lives around us. And one of the ways joy is expressed is through telling others. When something glorious occurs, it is not uncommon to talk about it. And church is clearly a place at which to talk about the wonderful things that the Lord has done. We naturally think that church is a place to look for the Lord to do glorious things. But he does amazing things every day and in every single place. So we need to guard against being like the ruler, who wanted only what was familiar. It is here that we can feel free to express our feelings at all the good things that he has done. It is good to share that joy. There are times when each of us do not feel that life is particularly good. We can understandably not feel able to express joy. But when we meet together, we have that opportunity to do these things together, encouraging each other, listening, sharing, and praising. Churches are places where smiles are appropriate because there is emotion inside those who have witnessed the Lord doing glorious things during the week. Another opportunity to express ourselves in praise and singing is an excellent way to react to the glorious things that the Lord has done. But that doesn't mean it's not right to rejoice at places other than the house of worship when Jesus does wonderful things. Church is a collection of people meeting together, each person often with different focus at different times, like that of sadness, fear, or possibly anger. But we're all God's people, and we need to minister to each other, listening and praying together. And it's in those dark times when we must try not to lose sight of that Jesus has done glorious things. And Jesus will continue to do glorious things. It's a bit like when the sun goes behind the clouds and it gets really dark. The sun is still there, but you just can't see it at that time. We still feel its warmth. Even in England, we can still feel its warmth. It's still there. We no longer need to see God as a distant and fearsome, and only special people can meet with him. Jesus came and lived in our world and died for our sins. Now God is approachable, and each of us is acceptable. Each has the offer of love and acceptance. But we cannot rule him or put him in constraints. So back to Lewis, when Susan said, "Is he quite safe?" I should feel rather nervous about meeting a lion. Of course he isn't safe. That doesn't mean that he's safe and cuddly, but he is good. He's the king. So when can we meet? When we can, we should let our faces reflect our observation of those things. Talk with others, telling them the glorious things we see the Lord do. Sing, laugh, rejoice, praise, encourage each other, talk to each other. And so now we're going to sing. I've forgotten what we're going to sing. There is a Redeemer. Please feel free to stay seated.